Thanks for coming. What's up, Darren?
What's up?
How's it
Happy
going?
to be here.
We've done this before.
Done this a few times.
Yeah. So my name's Jeffrey Chernick, 20-year startup founder, 3 companies, had an exit, shut one company down, just been in the grind for a long time, wrote a book, run a founder collective, yada, yada. Now I interview really cool people like Darren for fun.
Fun job.
Yeah. So we're at a pitch we're at a pitch day, right? So I want to focus our time on the pitch. So has anyone ever done 2-factor authentication? Yeah, most people. Has anyone done 2-factor authentication today? Okay. He's the guy. You could blame him. Yeah, you could blame this guy. So take me back to the beginning. Imagine you did one of these. I'm sure you did one of these.
100%.
Give me the 60-second elevator pitch, the original elevator pitch for TeleSign.
Wow. It was something like a lot of bad stuff's about to happen on the internet. And to solve that, you have to take it out of the internet. And what does everyone have in their pocket? They have their phone. So our idea is to use the phone to verify what's going on the internet. And when we said that, this was 2005, I like to say 2005, BI, before iPhone, like we would get blank stares like those, usually at a startup. What are you talking about? Bad stuff doesn't happen on the internet. No one's going to give you their phone number. Like this was really before like a lot of really bad stuff started happening. So that was like essentially the pitch.
So those were the typical questions from the judges. What were, let's like top 3 reasons this won't work?
Oh man, there's like 20 reasons. I was told, go get a job. That was probably one of the meanest things that someone said. This will never work. Users are never going to enter their phone number. Absolutely not. No one is ever going to put their phone number in. No one is ever going to answer a call or get an SMS. Like that was the biggest thing. I heard in 2006, SMS is dying. Why are you going to use SMS? SMS is still here 20 years later. So we pretty much heard everything. It was just like a constant stream of negativity and no's mostly.
So why didn't you just give up and get a job or go to something else? What about this idea kept you persevering?
So people ask me this a lot, and I like to say you kind of have to be a little bit stupid. Like there's no external validation. So there is not something that someone is going to tell you. If your family and friends tell you, they're trying to be nice. You ask them for money and they say no, right? So you have to feel it like basically in your bones that this is going to work. For us, we always knew like bad stuff is really going to surround the internet as people put more and more stuff in their email, as banking moves online. Human nature is bad things are going to happen. And our thinking was when bad things are going to happen, people are going to want something secure, but really easy. You know, people who remembers like the RSA fobs, anyone still have them, you know, the tokens you carry around, like that was kind of the state of the art at the time. Like your grandpa's not going to carry a token, but your grandpa has a cell phone. So we had this idea that like, we're just a little early and all these no's, like they're right, but like we're about to enter a big problem. And we luckily like were stupid enough to wait around for kind of the market and the problem to catch up to us.
Well, give me a little time frame. Was it a few weeks?
No, it was a different time then. This was like 3 years. So it took us 3 years when we had a few clients, but we started the business in 2005. In 2008, we signed Craigslist. That was the first like, this is going to work. The use case for Craigslist was you want to post in Craigslist, you have to verify your phone number. Before that, Craigslist was just getting creamed with spam. People making 6 figures a month spamming on Craigslist, and they had no way of stopping it. And I cold emailed the CTO of Craigslist and said, put this in front, you're going to stop all the fraud. And he did it, and the account like grew substantially. Like it was basically hockey sticked. And he's like, this is the only thing I've ever seen that has worked. Verify phone numbers. And then from there, we're like, now we have something here. We have a real paying client spending a lot of money, solving a real problem. Let's take this and see if we can repeat it. But it took 3 years.
So during these 3 years, are these ramen noodle 3 years? Are you sleeping on couches?
This was a very, very difficult 3 years. Yeah, but basically all of this stuff, sacrificing, watching my friends make money, live in nice places, go to nice restaurants, and a lot of just like being like, what the hell am I doing with my life? This is like not going to work. Luckily for me, and I met a solo founder before, I had 2 co-founders, which was extremely important in the bad times to like have someone to be in the trenches with you. That kind of got me through it, and great friends, and I worked out, and it did all of the things, but I mean, there's no beating around the bush. Like, it was very difficult.
I'm harping on this because how many early stage founders are in the room? It's a hard job. It is a hard job. How many no's did you get?
Man, hundreds of
thousands?
no's. Yeah, I mean, and I tell people this, and the reason I do events like this is I have a really soft spot in my place for early stage founders because I know how hard it is. I mean, the failure rate is probably 98%. It's very, very difficult. And the challenge with raising money is people don't want to give you money when you need it. And then when you need it, everyone wants to, when you don't need it, everyone wants to give you money. And this is what happened at TeleSign. We couldn't raise $1, no one did it. And then all of a sudden, oh, we signed Craigslist, we signed Google, we signed Yahoo. What do you know? Every investor in the world is like wanting to take me to lunch, take me to dinner. I believed in you in the beginning. So the seed stage is like a really, really difficult place to be, because investors, rightfully so, are trying to hedge and figure out what the next big thing is. But to get someone to believe in you when you have no traction is very hard.
You got to get that first customer. So when you did sign Craigslist, was everyone's energy focused on making this one client experience just like stratospheric?
100%. And we had very difficult technical challenges. This was before AWS, where you just put everything in AWS. We were hosting stuff ourselves. We had servers. We had going play in the data center in the middle of the night to try and make it work, because if we go down, Craigslist goes down. Craigslist can't go down, and they obviously don't accept that. So there was a lot of, we have to make this work, and we have to make it work. And then what happened? Craigslist put this up. It's the greatest thing ever. It's working. And what do you know? The bad guys found a way around it. They started using VoIP phones, Google Voice, Skype, and they started getting hundreds and hundreds of phone numbers. So Craigslist came to us and said, we got a new problem. Your solution's not working. Okay. So we solved the problem. How do we identify phone numbers? Is it a VoIP phone? Is it a new phone? Is it registered to someone? Is it activated? We're able to tell them very quickly, like basically the reputation of a phone number, and we solved it. And that became more sticky too. So it was, but at that point it was like, we cannot lose this client. We have to keep them happy. And I like to tell people, like, you have to find your Craigslist. We got very lucky. Craigslist was a 25-person or 50-person company. It was the 6th largest website in the United States. And we were told no by the eBays of the world would never take a chance on a startup like us. I mean, that's just like it. But Craigslist was a huge company that was willing to take a chance on a startup. So I tell people, like, find your Craigslist for whatever your industry is. Find a big company that can make decisions fast. You know, anytime I see a startup and I'm like, I'm selling into education or government or healthcare, I'm like, oh my God, like be prepared. You're like 2, 3, 4, 5-year sales cycles. Like it's not overnight thing.
How do you think founders should tell the difference between seeing this future that is going to happen and then make it happen no matter what, with, 1,000 no's and years, versus just being completely delusional?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. It's a fine line. It's a very fine line. And I have seen people delusional. And I had to have hard conversations with people being like, in my opinion, and this is mine, you do it, this is not going to work for the following reasons. But I also come down as like, it's not my place to tell you that. Like, you have to go inside and tell yourself, like, and it's fine. Like, I've been involved in a number of failed startups. And it's fine. Like, failure is okay. Moving on is okay. Learning is okay. Like, that's also part of the game. And the other point is, the quicker you do that, the better, because then you can move on to your next opportunity. So you don't want to hold on too long, but there's no like right answer. Only you like internally can know that.
And for you, after Craigslist, was it just up and to the right, or did it continue to be a wild roller coaster?
It was a roller coaster. I mean, that was our first, like, we have something here. And then that was like, how do we repeat this? And at the time, we didn't have any money. So we're like, we got to go get Google. We got to go get Facebook. And we basically just did it ourselves. We called, emailed, LinkedIn, and set meetings. And, once you have your first big one, that validates it. So that was like a big thing. where people see it out there in the wild, they see the company, and you're able to like take that. But it was a roller coaster. We got Google as a client. That was like a huge, obviously the biggest thing that ever happened to us. Then Google brought us in. We're going to build this ourselves. We don't need you. You're just sending voice calls, sending SMS by. They fired us. They brought us back like a year and a half later because it's actually very, very hard to do. So there's a ton of ups and downs, a ton over the years.
And I'm cheating a little bit because I wrote a book and he's in a chapter, and this is what the chapter's about. In many ways, entrepreneurship is and life is looking at a system and figuring out how to hack that system. It is, being at the back of a concert and thinking like, how do I get to the front of the concert? In the most, generic term. For you, you found Craigslist. There are thousands of companies. There's infinite companies that need this. What was your hack to really find scale? How do you think out of the box?
Yeah. So what we did, and I'll caveat, this is much harder in 2026. We had a joke at TeleSign that we never got an inbound lead. We hunted every client that we got. So we're talking about cold emails, LinkedIn, phone calls, trade shows, finding the right person, just like very hard manual work. And that's how we got all of our clients. So oftentimes when I'm advising startups and I want to spend $500,000 on go-to-market, and I'm like, well, what have you done? Like, have you called people? Have you emailed them? So we got very good at sending emails, very targeted personal emails to the exact right person. And when I was doing it, the response rate was 2 to 3%. So it's funny. I talked to someone and they're like, I sent 50 emails and I got one response. And I'm like, that's actually pretty normal. Like, it's not bad. So you have to send 10,000 emails. Like you literally have to be putting up huge numbers to get these kind of results. And obviously this is much harder now, but for us, it was cold emails, LinkedIn, and reaching like really the targeted people at these companies.
Is this like a 500 emails a day, 1,000 emails a day?
I don't remember at the time. I mean, we were at 10,000 emails a day. We had whole teams of people building out. The second we knew someone had an app that started to take off, we would hit them with a very targeted message and not generic. And then now everything's just kind of AI slop, but you're the right person. Here's the problem I'm going to solve. Here's where we're doing it. 3 sentences, not long emails, 3 sentences. Let's talk. And it works. Or it did work. It's harder now. It still works. But that's how we pretty much got all of our clients.
And you would sort of surround a company, right? Because it wouldn't be, a lot of people have an ICP, so you're going after the CMO for a marketing product. You had an interesting strategy of sort of surrounding the company with your emails, right?
We were a bit crazy. I mean, I got like die spammer, leave me alone, leave my company alone. Like, because we would email a ton of people. And a place like Google, I'll give you a story of how we got in at Google. There is not someone at Google with the title Vice President of User Authentication at Google. Maybe there is now. But at the time, the person that owned this whole thing, his title on LinkedIn was Product Manager. Like, he didn't advertise this. So we probably went too extreme and looking back, went a little crazy. But I was kind of like, you may say no to me, but like, you're going to know who I am and you're going to know what I do. And if it involves like me bugging the whole company and them being like, who are these guys? Like, fine, I would rather do that than be like unknown. And we built it out. Like as the company became bigger, like I said, if there was a new app starting to take off, we would hit them like right away. We had by the end of TeleSign, we had 100-person sales org that was just doing this all day and cranking it out. And finding these apps and getting them signed up because like most software, like you get in and you become really sticky.
And do you find that this tenacity in your executive team, did it trickle down to the rest of the team? Was it part of your culture?
100%. I mean, it starts with the founders and it's easier when you're a smaller company. And I know this is like an early stage company. This becomes very hard as you scale, very hard to match the founder intensity, grit, and all that as you scale. And I've learned some lessons there on how to do that and what to expect and what not to expect, but it's 100% contagious.
Well, what were one of those lessons? Like what one piece of advice that you can give to these founders to inject tenacity into their team?
There's no way to do it. You either have it. To me, you either have it or you don't. So the first sales guy I hired at TeleSign, he sold cable door to door. He never graduated from college. He went to community college and never graduated. He moved to LA from St. Louis with no money, living on a couch. And, I interviewed people from UCLA, USC, and polished suits and all this. And I was like, this guy is going to run through walls, and he's hungry, and he's going to do it. And he did it. So it's things like that. When you meet someone, you're like, nothing is going to stop this person. They're so motivated. They're so passionate. You just kind of know. And to be honest, like, it's not education. It's not where you went to school. It's like usually associated with people that have been through like something really hard. They grew up poor, or they had some tragedy happen. And you're like, yeah, you've seen like a really, really difficult part of life, and you don't want that. And you want to better yourself. And here's how I'm going to do it. So I'm a big believer in hiring like people with those skills rather than like resumes.
Do you think that team would have been the same if everybody was remote?
I think about this because my current company now is 100% remote, and there's so many great advantages to that. And you're able to hire people, and you're able to do things that are like unbelievable. But no, you do miss that like piece, especially early stage. There's such a critical piece about camaraderie and bonding, and all of this just is so important. Now, I don't think that's really realistic in the 2026 world to say everyone come to an office 5 days and everyone be here. And there are disadvantages to that, but this is something a lot of companies, are, including my own, are like wrestling with and struggling with.
And AI infused in sort of this new wave, do you think it's harder for humans, I'll say, to continue to like DIY things versus rely on these external tools now to do it for them? And like, what's the, like, if you think back to TeleSign days and you had what you have now, do you think it would have been a just, boatloaded advantage, or would you have lost a bit of that special sauce?
It would have been both. It would have been both. I think things would have gone a lot quicker. We would have a lot less headache, a lot less people. But the problem with AI is everyone has it. Every pitch deck is perfect. Every email is written very well. So that's not your competitive advantage. And like now I'm back in the early stage seat, and I see a lot of early stage companies like moats are getting destroyed. Like whatever you say, like software moat, very difficult. Marketing moat, okay. Like one moat is actually team. Like that is actually a really valuable moat. Do you have a team, a small team, a 10-person team that works well effectively without fighting and all this, and with modern tools is the equivalent of like a 100-person team 5 years ago, which is incredible. I mean, what you can do with 10 people.
What are other things that make companies stand out right now?
Right now? I mean, the problem that they're trying to solve is usually something like, usually you can resonate with that. Like, what problem are they trying to solve? Is it a really big problem? The team is like the biggest one, especially in the seed stage, because usually the product change, the slides you show don't work. None of your assumptions work. So it's usually like the team piece. And then like, what are you going to do as like the rug gets pulled out from everyone, as far as like competitive advantage? I think one of the good and bad things in TeleSign is like, it took a long time. We were very sticky. People didn't change. So it took a long time. That was good because it was hard for people to change. Now, like, your fortunes can change like really quickly for good and for bad. So there's so many examples of company we were talking about the other day. Like, who remembers Clubhouse? That company was on top of the world, like literally on top of the world. And I think they went to zero. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many examples of companies that just get it and they can't hold it, which is I think a challenge for people to.
With TeleSign, you guys were able to hold it. How big did it scale?
We were able to hold it somehow. It was very hard. We started in 2005. We sold the business in 2017. There were a lot of ups and downs. We bootstrapped a lot. We did 2 rounds of funding, 2012 and 2014, raised 88 million, which is a lot of money. We grew to 450 people, had offices all over the world, different like. So I got to see from startup, like through the challenges of like scaling, and it was hard. We had the ups and the downs. And when you get to that size, the board starts to expect a lot more from you. The revenue expectations get a lot more. We had a good exit. We hit 100 million a year in revenue, which is extremely rare. Very few companies that like cross that chasm. And we had a really good exit, which is great. All the investors made money. All the employees made money. Like TeleSign still exists. Like it's still here in Marina Del Rey. The company that bought us is very happy with it. So it was overall a success. But like looking back on it, now I'm like, I really appreciate it because so many things had to go well and a lot of luck too. There's a lot of luck and a lot of timing and a lot of just like things had to really go well. But also, we mess things up too. And I try and learn the lessons of like, help people and what could I have done differently.
$330 million exit. Pretty good. Pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah. Round of applause. It's the dream, right? That's the founder dream. Everyone in here is starting a company from scratch. Every company that's ever been created is just an idea in the beginning. And then there's bringing that idea to life. And you think that's the hard part. It's like you have an idea for a product or a service or a tech, and then you bring it to life. You spend like 3 years or 2 years building it, and then it's finally built. That's actually day one, because then you actually have to go out and sell it, and then you have to get people to use it, and then you have to get those people to love it enough to tell more people about it and get retention. And it just goes on. And then you have people and teams, and you have culture issues, and you have co-founder issues. So it's never ending wild ride. Anyone resonate with that? And I think why I ask these questions and love being on stage doing this is because everything that Darren experienced is what we all experience. They're just on different scales. The founders of Priceline and TripAdvisor and, Esri and LegalZoom, like they all had moments when they were running out of money, when they almost quit, when they were said no 1,000 times and everyone said they were stupid. It was a bad idea. And you just keep going and hopefully see a not just a payday. Well, let me ask you, like, what to you, was it the exit or was it the journey or was it protecting people? Like what was in it for you when you look back at this?
Yeah. Now 10 years since we sold. So I've had some like room and to see it and everything. And listen, the exit was great. Money-wise, reputation-wise, people-wise, like it was very good. But like I missed the early stage. And a lot of people say that, but then when you're in the early stage, you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? This is miserable. But I missed the early stage. The early stage, like you can have such an impact, you can do so much. And like I miss those kind of early days. Because when you are a big company, you have a whole new set of problems. And for me personally, I don't like those set of problems as much. They're just a very different set of problems than the startup problems.
So what advice do you have to the founder in this room that is probably a solo founder who had an idea, used AI to build most of it, is either still solo or with a small team, they're about to go to market or in market, they're thinking of raising capital. How is it out there?
It's very hard. It's very hard.
Such an evil laugh sometimes, right?
It's very, very hard raising money right now. I don't know one person who says it's easy. It's difficult. The bar has been raised. Expectations have been raised. Investors are looking for a lot faster growth. There's just a lot to overcome in that hurdle. And what I like to tell people, because oftentimes I meet with a founder and usually they've been rejected and they're down and what do I do? And I like to say, like, show investors your say-do ratio. So the term I use, say-do ratio. So say I'm going to do this and then do it, even if it's small. So many people say they're going to do it and then it never does. But like, go get 5 customers. Show that you can do it without any money, that you can vibe code this, you can do it. And like, when you do that, you will stand out from like the best pitch deck and the best team. Like, cause that's kind of the magic sauce for investors is like, most people can't do that. Everyone can make a good slide deck. Everyone can talk. Everyone can present. Like those can be taught, but to actually like go do something is very difficult skill.
It's a interesting allegory. Jim Armstrong, who I had on stage at the last demo day, he's 25-year venture capitalist. He's on his 5th fund. He's on the board of PayPal, sort of legendary investor, $750 million in returns. And when he meets a founder, he alludes that it is like a dot on a graph. And the next time he talks to that founder, he's another dot. And if you can chart up and to the right, where like I met this guy in 2010 and I started a taxi sharing website called rideamigos.com in 2007 when no one would share a taxi and everyone said that idea was stupid, including him. And every time I talk to him, I'm like, yeah, we're doing government carpooling now, and now we're doing enterprise carpooling, and it was just a plot to the right. He never invested in Ride Amigos, which is still, it's like the leading commuter management SaaS company today. It's 17 years later, or 19. But when I had my next idea, I was like, hey, Jim, what if I could control your lock screen when I call you? He's like, do that. Love that. It was like video ringtones were video caller ID. And he wrote us our first $100,000 check. And so when you're building these relationships, just remember that the first time you talk to anybody, it's the first dot. And you want to keep the relationship going. You want to send updates, and ideally try and pull some piece of advice from the person you're talking to, especially investors. Pull a piece of advice, even if you already knew that or it was already on your roadmap. Like, that's an amazing idea. And the next time you see them, or kiss their asses. The next time you see them, like, yeah, that was a really good piece of advice. I did that thing. Look at the results. You're basically enrolling them in your vision and in your team without their choice. Like they're going to be more vested in your success because they're giving you advice, and now there's this feedback loop. It's like with customers.
Yeah, 100%. And what I tell people when they're pitching is go to a VC or any investor, and I sit down with them and I say, if you tell me no, that is fine. Absolutely tell me no. Please promise me you will tell me the truth. Tell me why to my face. If it hurts, you hate the industry, you don't like me, you don't think I'm going to do it, tell me the truth. And actually that becomes extremely valuable. The problem is some investors don't like to hurt people's feelings and they want to keep the door open. Oh, come back to me with more traction when they're never going to invest. So actually you learn a lot from those. You really do. So I find that when you say that, people will generally be more truthful than it's not a right fit, or, oh, this isn't the right market for us. Just come back to us when you have traction, kind of the generic answers that everyone gets, because VCs are a business and they're trying to hedge. No one wants to tell someone, no, I thought your idea was stupid and all this, and then you prove them wrong. You know, that's like not a good feeling. So the VCs are kind of in the business of hedging.
And know that when you do get a no, it most of the time has nothing to do with you. Like, it has to do with you, of course, because if it was skyrocketing product, they love it. But is this something the portfolio is already invested in? Are they even looking at that space? Is there another partner that made a bet on that vertical last year and it was really bad for the fund? So there's just so many dynamics that you don't see with a particular venture fund, with partner dynamics and fund dynamics, that you just can't take it personally and just know, like, that's what it is for this fund. I do always like to ask, well, what metrics would you invest? And then you could start actually building a chart of like, well, when I hit these, I'm going to go back to that investor, because they're essentially giving you the roadmap, especially from sort of seed to Series A. Is like, well, if you're a Series A investor, if I come back to you in a year from now, what does this need to look like? And then go hit those metrics.
Yeah, 100%. And it is hard. I've been in this shoes as an early stage founder. You associate your self-worth with your company, and no one likes to get rejected. And I've been there. This is very hard. But to Jeff's point, I think as you do this enough, it is not personal. No investor, unless they're a total asshole, is like personally rejecting you. It's just sometimes not a fit. There's so many reasons. Yeah.
One last comment on that.
Yeah.
Because like all these founders in the room, you are not your company. It is something that you are working on, and it is external to you. So there's this idea that we identify with things. Some people identify in their relationship. They become like conjoined in one, and it's not the healthiest thing for a relationship. It's the same thing with your company. The roller coaster is not sustainable if you are just like the roller coaster. You have to remember that this thing you are working on, if it's not there, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You will be fine. Does that
sounds very good. Yeah, and I totally believe that. In practicality, that's very hard to do for me personally. Like, I felt that. I think as I've gotten older, like, I can separate myself. But listen, when you're in it, Like you're like, I quit my job, I did this, like this kind of feels like me. But your advice is 100% right, because if you're not able to do that, you will take rejection personally. You're not going to be as out there. Like you'll just feel things harder. So that is a good skill to try and practice. Like, how do you be totally committed to something, totally in it, but a little bit detached?
So it's now 10 years later. What's your new elevator pitch? 60 seconds on the clock.
My new elevator pitch. Wow. So who is a little bit scared of where we're going in the security world with AI? Yeah. As a security person, you rightfully should be. So my new company is called FaceSign. So I took the sign as something new. It's basically 2026 verification. So quick talk with an AI avatar, less than a second to up to 5 seconds. I can tell who you are. I can tell if you're a deepfake. I can tell if you're being coached. I can tell if you're being coerced. I can tell stuff that up until now is basically only been done by human intuition. So Sam Altman came out about a year and a half ago and said basically in 2 years, the authentication and verification rails are going to start to fall off everywhere, which for people who are in it, it's very true. The kind of dirty little secret is deep fakes and the attacks that were kind of only done by nation states and very sophisticated people are going to be done by a guy in a basement who gets your voice, gets your picture of you, and kind of all of the ways that the world authenticates are going to start to wobble a little bit. So we came back at this problem of, we laid the rails 20 years ago. The world is changing. Can we take the lessons of something easy and simple? Everyone knows how to do a FaceTime. Do that to verify and authenticate you for like the modern AI world. And then the other piece of that is a majority of the traffic on the internet already right now is not human. And that's only going to probably increase by 1,000%. So if you have 100,000 agents working on your behalf, how do you know that that agent is authorized to do stuff on your behalf? So there's a whole world of authorization, human authorization that is going to be needed in the future. So that's what I'm working on now.
How do you face sign agents?
You basically FaceTime the person behind the agent. So you like, I give my agent carte blanche to spend up to X amount and you can spend more, but like verify with me first and verify that's actually me. So there's going to be a lot of that coming, and a lot of the rails are being laid to be able to do that because you're going to want agents to have autonomy to do certain things, but you're going to yourself want to verify transactions and certain things yourself in an easy way.
How does it feel to be back in the ring?
It feels good. It's challenging. You know, I'm back at it. The startup world, it is very difficult. The world has changed a lot, but it's also fun. And I tell people, like, when I started TeleSign, you needed money and you needed people and you needed all of these things. Like now you don't. You can do it yourself. Like you could do so much yourself, which is like, it's such an amazing time to like be building right now. It's just like probably the best time ever to be building.
What's one gem piece of advice the younger Darren would tell older Darren, knowing what younger Darren knows now? That was a riddle. You guys come back to me later if you got it. Wasn't.
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing was to try and be even keel. I think at startups, it's so much of a roller coaster. And I remember this, like you'd be so down, got rejected again. It's never going to work, never going to work. And you sign a client and yes, I'm doing it. And after a while, like just being able to be like, all right, I had a bad day today. Doesn't mean my company is bad. All right, I had a really good day. Doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be good. And try and be even keel, because that's what will power you through like 5 years or 10 years. You know, most people are looking like, I sold my company in a year or 2 years or whatever it is. And that does happen, especially now. But I mean, most businesses like mine are 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, 8 years. It's a long sprint. So you have to like not burn out. And I've seen so many people burn out. I mean, that's a whole other thing of you can't do it. You can't sustain that for so long.
Has any perceptions changed in terms of self-funding versus outside funding in this new world that we're living in?
100%. I tell most people self-fund, usually, like unless your idea, like at least in the beginning, like unless you require so much capital, to just like prove your concept, self-fund, you're going to get better terms. You're going to like waste less time talking to investors, like get out there and do what you can with friends and family or whatever you could do. And there's so many other options. My company, we haven't announced it, but we raised a round. It was with VCs. I have a ton of VC relationships. VCs are great. They're one source of capital. There are so many sources of capital and so many ways of raising money. Friends, family, crowdfunding, like credit cards. There's so many ways of like funding a business today beyond just like, I have to go to Sand Hill Road and raise money from VCs.
And just show up with traction. You can define your own traction. It could be a wait list. It could be a survey. It could be just something. You need data. And if you have to hack it yourself and like flavor, they're going to go to campus. They're going to be on campus. They're going to figure out ways of getting people to engage with the product. And if it bombs, it never happened. Like that's not part of the story, and they're gonna figure out their next thing, and they never talk about that again. This video gets deleted off the internet. Any final words of advice for the founders here as they're building their companies?
Thank you for coming. Like again, like I have a really soft spot in my heart because I do know how hard it is what you're doing, and I tell everyone when I do these, like, if I can help, come find me. Let's talk. I'm very good at making introductions. A lot of industries I know nothing about, but usually I know people. And that's what it's about too, like meeting people and putting yourself out there. It's always funny. We talk about this too. When I do talks here, this is actually a very interesting thing. How many people do you think like will email me tonight after this with like a real email, not just nice meeting you, let's add you on LinkedIn?
20.
Like a real email will usually be 2. Like
Real email.
I'll get, hey, thanks for speaking. Nice meeting you. I'm gonna add you on LinkedIn. Here's my pitch deck. Like, no, like, hey, Darren, this really resonated with me when you said this. I have a question for you. Like something like really well thought out. So I always think about that because I'm like, this is what like life is too. The bar is actually very low. If you like take one step up and you really care and you show, like, you can reach people. Like, you can reach me. I'm easy to reach, but you can pretty much reach anyone, I found, if you like come with like some kind of like caring and knowledge and what you're saying is relevant to them. But usually you can. So for all of you, like, I'm available. I want to hear about your businesses. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll cheer you up if you're down. But I really appreciate everything you guys do, and keep going. Okay.
Darren, rockstar.